climate issues have been bubbling along since 1978.
That's the point I'm making. That was futurist thinking, you see, that identified these as emerging issues. There were others, but they were the main ones. Climate change was called then. Global warming was called. People didn't like the idea of warming, so they called it climate change.
But population would seem a big one now. Someone said population. That would seem quite...
Well, population is all tied up with the issue of transmigration. The population was an issue even then. These were emerging issues.
Shoemaker wrote Small Planet to avoid that.
And we've been denying climate change until Paris meeting. I think so many people backed off and accepted now that we do have some semblance of climate change, and there were so many denialists. I found it hard to believe. And it's with us. And we're starting to do something about it. It's taken since 1970, early 70s, it's the early 70s, to see that get any real attention by people in positions of authority. We could be way ahead if we accepted something. If we brought some futurist thinking into our everyday work. We're just starting to do it now. In fact, there's not enough futurist thinking going on even now. Still got to be more. It's all about what was in the past, what we've got to continue, what we have now. So let's do the discussion point. Let's go.
There are a few weak signals here and there that just thinking is seeping through, but it's not totally just thinking on those levels. A few media personalities, actors and singers who do have power, they hold a whole lot of power, and they are voicing their concerns in a big international arena. And I think it's a good thing, and we should infiltrate them somehow. Because we can talk here until the cows go home, and we really need to get out there in a big way.
What's the time frame of this thinking, though? It's the next election, usually, isn't it? 3 or 4 years.
No, I'm talking about actors who are actually giving big speeches at the UN about climate change and parity and money.
And then they, unfortunately, keep getting caught out using private jets. No, I mean, seriously, it is funny, but
but they're giving away
undermining
of money too. A lot of them are going away for millions and millions, and it's not talked about much, but it is happening. It's not happening.
I think longer-term vision is missing, though.
Well,
Much
you'd
of
be
our
happy
thinking.
to know that we're promoting that and teaching that right here with
Good.
first semester engineering students.
Good.
Continually, every single time we gather, we talk about the future and what it looks like and what they want to see. And what I'm seeing working with these people year after year, they're coming in ready. They don't care about the people at the top, what they think any longer. They're moving forward, and there's a group mentality. It's very much. I'm extraordinarily hopeful. It's awesome working with them.
Good.
It
Glad to
seeps
hear.
into you. It's great. Yeah. So, yeah, get happy. It's gorgeous. It's happening.
But
Good to hear.
Don't buy. I'm telling you.
there is another downside
I
to
don't
that.
see it. Go ahead.
The closing down of the entryway for others into awareness of futures
Where?
studies
Here at USC, you mean?
at USC. So at the same time as this is really positive, this is also occurring.
We have to be clever about how we bring it in. Yeah. It's still going to happen.
The national curriculum for school children in Australia has a cross-curriculum priority that they call sustainability. But the actual wording is, the priority will allow all young Australians to develop the knowledge, skills, values and worldviews necessary for them to act in ways that contribute to more sustainable patterns of living. the sustainability priority is futures oriented and calls on students to act sustainably as individuals and to participate in collective endeavours. So there's actually a legal mandate to work for futures oriented people to work with every child in the nation under that banner. So I think a really powerful way that a group of futures-oriented activists could engage would be to help teachers understand how do you do that in a classroom and provide them with vehicles and good materials and strategies for doing that in preschool and primary school. So it's there, it's stated, but it's under-deployed.
We still put more emphasis on history, don't we?
Absolutely, there's
future
more
studies.
history. But the mandate is there. It's in the national curriculum. It's
That's
been
good.
accepted by every
Well, there was
systemic school in the country.
There were
So
trials,
as a
no.
vehicle for an activist group, I think in the same way that the coding, I'm a geek, the coding movement is getting millions of dollars and lots of people who want to see people programming computers are putting up projects and materials and running events and coordinating competitions and all of that stuff. That really, if a group of people who want to focus on the futures want to make a big difference to a lot of people, if we had that kind of resource and really engaging activities for students, then their teachers could actually deploy them. So you're not fighting against a system who doesn't want you. You can hold up the national curriculum and say, and look, this is part of your job, everybody. So I think there's an opportunity through the national curriculum documents to actually ignite future studies. And if you paired it with things that are politically flavoured, futures and coding, how do you code for a better world, a more sustainable world? That kind of pairing with other big funded agendas, I think there's a really powerful way to influence a lot of Australian
I think
youth.
it's very powerful. I just would like to see more of it, I suppose.
And Bonnie?
Yes.
Dan?
Good afternoon, I'm Bonnie, new to Future Studies. I'm very happy I'm here. Wish I'd found Futures sooner. I like what you're saying, Lindy. It sounds like you're putting a bit of the onus on teachers and educators. And I also like what Terry said about the young people are really essential in this picture. I'm a former classroom teacher, and now I'm teaching on the edges of the system. So I'm in schools. I work with students coming out of their classroom to me for piano lessons, which suits me, but what I see is that there is a tremendous amount of pressure on teachers. There's a lot on their plates. I know even when I was in the classroom, I almost felt overwhelmed with basically covering the curriculum, much less all the other things that we're doing. They're spending a day with their sporting gala day, and then they're spending a morning making Easter bonnets and parading, and they're spending a day dressed in their favorite book characters' costumes. So there's a lot of ancillary activity, which I'm not saying is good or bad, but there is so much for teachers to think about that I like also what you say about an activist group. Somewhere along the line, it seems we need to raise the profile of futures thinking and make it a bee in their bonnets, so that teachers have the fire in their bellies to facilitate that, fill that gap between what we're thinking and what I'm hoping to think, like the rest of you inspiring.
I agree with that. At some stage I was involved with a few people, including Richard Slaughter, in developing a curriculum subject called Futures or Future Studies in Queensland. It got trialled by about 5 or 6 schools. So the point is, it's got to compete with all these existing curriculum.
How do we raise
Marx has been doing it by stealth.
Yeah, I do it myself all the time. I think
I'm
and
saying
this is what
negative.
Phyllis does as well. I mean,
sort of get in there wherever it is.
I'm sounding negative, but sorry, I'll just make one more statement. I think the thing about the futures is it doesn't matter if we don't have a special subject called futures.
No, that's right.
It's a matter of whether it's infused into the thinking of all or many subjects.
I'm just.
I think that counts.
Sorry, Tony. I absolutely love what I'm personally. It's very cool. There's another way I'm sort of thinking about it as well, and it's like from a practical application. Still, I'm lucky now to be doing a business course. Now that doesn't have any futures thinking in it basically at all, but it's a great course. So just through discussion and looking at things differently, there's an influence there, good or bad. I don't have to ask them what they think of me. But the other thing that comes to mind is, and this is only an example, what about if people decided to, say, go to a correctional centre and use futures thinking with the inmates to help change their lives? So it's not executive level, it's not school, it's real-time application that makes people's lives better. That's only an example. So there might be someone who knows correctional centres, has a contract with correctional centres, and they teach and they use the tools. To me, it's about applying in real time, not as an academic, that's good, not as a professional or a teacher, just as a person who is really applying these tools with other people, and they come out better people and they just talk about it.
Do you know the work of Chris Hedges? Chris Hedges is doing that exact thing.
Mm.
Do you know his work?
No.
Yeah, it goes into the prisons in the Boston area.
Mm.
Yeah, it's incredible too.